Okay, YouTube, so the festivities have continued. The jack is in. It's up. I no longer need a car jack to change my front tires because they move. I think this one has a longer stroke than the ones I have, which it fits up and goes up and down on its own, so it's good to go as far as I'm concerned. I don't mind. If I ever have to change that tire on the road, that'll certainly be easier with it up and off the ground by 2 or 3 inches. It works. So, here's your procedure. Don't worry about jamming these springs full of wood. It's a giant waste of your time and effort. Basically, a big screwdriver, you can stretch the springs out of the hanger bar on the front side of the framework, right? That's how I got those loose. It did let the jack swing down. If your bolts are old and rusted like mine, don't even bother trying to get them out. Just go ahead and grinder them off. Disconnect. I disconnected my hydraulic line here first just to swing it up and out of the way. I unplugged the control line for power to the actuator. Again, just to swing it up and out of the way. I hooked it on some hoses that are way up there above the framework somewhere. Oh, there they are, that set over there. And there's actually 2 of those. It won't seem to focus on the phone, but there's 2 of them, and I hooked the hydraulic hose up. I just pushed it between them to keep it from dripping, and that held out just fine. Okay, so I grinded off the last of the bolts after breaking the others, and I actually found them a little while ago. They're still hanging around down here. There's some of the pieces to them. They just snapped right off on me. I did hit myself in the face and gave myself a black eye with the wrench, or the ratchet that I was using. But I'll get over it. So, now there's a mountain of room down here again. I can move, and I can move the phone around, all that good stuff. So, to bolt up, I basically used plastic leveling blocks and a few shims to space it till the foot plate was pretty close, pretty much up against the framework. Getting the bolts in, the 2 to the outside of my frame, were relatively simple. They were easy to get to. I could put my hands on both of them, and those were no problem getting those in. I did the one that's towards the back here because this is the side I crawled in from. I had to crawl past the exhaust system there and get around the front. You see there's still a little bit of dripping from the hydraulic fluids from earlier when the hose was hanging over the I-beam. To get this front one on this side was a nightmare. The one up and under there, that guy, was a total pain. I eventually got it. Then I shot them all tight with a 1/2-inch impact gun, holding the nut above with a box wrench. After that, it was just tie in the electric. It's a male-female plug. No big deal there. And the ground is already established, so I don't have to do that. And then it was the hydraulic line. The hydraulic line was a 9/16 coming from the truck and a 5/8 on the original jumper hose from HWH. This one is a 9/16, so I needed 2 9/16 wrenches for that, but I tied it in. I do not see any leaking. What I don't like, and I'm noticing this for the first time ever, is that my tire kind of touches that a little bit. It touches that hydraulic hose. Not that you'll ever cut your tire full on like this. This is kind of cocked all the way. But this is kind of touching here. That's not so hot. I'm not a fan of that at all. It's just off of it. I wonder if there's, I'm going to want to find something to pull that back. That is just way too close for my comfort. But it's in, it's upright, it's got the wheels off the ground, and that's what we like to see, because you never know where you're going to park your RV, right? And you never know when you need a front end flat tire, because that's the only spare that I have is for my front end. one of the steering tires. If you ever, get a flat or a blowout or whatever on a highway, on a road, you never need a car jack with a RV that has its own leveling system. Basically just drop your leveler and your tires off the floor. There you go. You just spin that bad boy and take them off and do whatever the heck you want. So that's it. It's done. It's working. Again, to whoever those folks were that sold me this thing, thank you. It certainly is refurbished because the paint is just coming off like crazy. So this is not the original, probably powder coated paint that was on here. They just kind of shot the whole thing. But you know what? It clearly is working well. It's got my tire off the ground. That's what counts. I don't see any leaks. It did not want to come down the first time I ran it. More than likely it's pushing air out of the ram and out of the lines. I had to come down here and flip it up and down a few times. It was kind of in a 45-degree position. But it's awesome. I love it. I'm so glad this is done. This was not a good one. But we'll see you soon. I'm going to talk to you about polishing the aluminum wheels on my Goldwing next. That's next weekend, hopefully. So we'll talk to you then. Have a good week. Take care. We'll see you.